here now. Ted Williams, former D.C. police detective. He's also a Fox Business contributor. Wow, what a sad story. People going away to celebrate occasions and have some rest and relaxation. And 3 out of the 4 that we were discussing are dead, Ted. And you've got the resort now saying, we'll pick up where Phil left off, saying that nobody else is at risk. But they're also not saying how this happened. So how can they be so sure?
Well, I don't think, Jackie, that they can be sure. This is such a sad story. As you said, both couples came and went on vacation, one celebrating their anniversary. You take Michael Phillips and his wife, Robbie. They were in a villa. They were found dead. Then, because of a health emergency, they wound up going and they heard Donna screaming out. She seemed to have been paralyzed. Her husband, Vincent Chiarella, was found at her feet, and he was dead. When you look at this, you do have a mystery here. But I do believe some of what Phil just reported is going to be one of the things that they will determine, and that is that carbon monoxide very well could have been involved here. But, Jack, I got to tell you, for years I have covered where many bars in these Caribbean island resorts have led to the death of individuals there. We don't know, and I want to make sure I'm clear. I'm not saying we don't know what took place here, but they need to get to the bottom of this right away.
Okay, well, what we do know, as you mentioned, were that the symptoms represented carbon monoxide poisoning. So one guest was saying that it was possible maybe there was something, a faulty mechanism within the air conditioning unit. You're talking potentially about a mini bar situation that could be, as you say, could be. Would that be a similar kind of the mini bar emitting some sort of noxious gas?
Well, not so much a mini bar emitting a noxious gas as it is individuals drinking liquor from the mini bar. We found there have been scandals in the Caribbean islands where the individuals have mixed up with the alcohol there. They've mixed up other chemicals that have caused death there in the islands.
Okay, so that wouldn't be a malfunction of the machine. You're talking about actually what was in the mini bar as something to investigate. And you're right, I have read stories about that as well, which is really frightening. I guess I would ask you this, as a consumer thinking about, taking a break or celebrating an occasion or trying to go to an island just to get some rest and relaxation, what can people do to protect themselves?
Well, let's say hypothetically, which we do not know, it was carbon monoxide poisoning. I can tell you there's absolutely nothing that you can do to protect yourself from that kind of a situation. Many bars, you can take certain actions to protect yourself there. But if I was these families, the first thing I would do is get an independent autopsy done. It's not that I don't trust the authorities down there, but I do believe that is necessary and proper.
Ted, let me ask you though, how difficult or easy is that to do in a place like the Bahamas?
Well, at some stage or another, they are going to release these bodies, Jackie. And when they release these bodies to the family, they can at that stage get the autopsy performed. It does not have to be performed down there in the Virgin in the Bahamas. But I think the toxicology reports are going to be very helpful. And in the Bahamas, they've sent these tox reports to the Philadelphia lab. And I think that's going to be helpful
in determining exactly what happened. Our hearts go out to these families. This is a heartbreaking story. Ted Williams, thank you so much for your insight tonight.
And my pleasure.